You can choose any design you want to put on your soap. I have these pages printed that have 3 designs. I know that the suitcase was a theme in the story, a tiger. I know the girl was something that Rob carved, but I chose these 3. This is also a tiger. This one will be challenging, but it's there in case you want it. I decided to start with a whale because that's something that kind of speaks to me. So notice how I've really tried to fill the space. This is the size of your soap bar. So I've made my whale as big as I can to fill the space. It's just the outline of the whale. Yes, I'm going to be adding some details into my whale, but very, very few, because these are all things I have to carve. Remember, drawing is one thing, but being able to carve it is something else. So not having a lot of detail is really important. So you have a couple opportunities to try your design as big as possible. Once you've decided on your design, then we're going to be cutting it out. Next step is to carefully unpeel your bar of soap. Okay. First thing we actually want to do before we start with anything, this is going to go in the garbage. Remember, your soap is always on your plate. First thing we want to do before we start anything is to eliminate the word ivory so that we're able to put our design. So we're going to use a paper clip for a lot of the carving. This is going to be our carving tool, our whittling tool. And so I'm going to use just the end of the paper clip that's got the 2 loops. I guess the single loop is fine, either one. And I'm going to just gently carve. It's super easy to cut. And you don't want to go too deep. The goal is just to get rid of the words and keep all these little shavings on our plate. So check it out. Oh my gosh, look, I did it just by barely gently carving. It's not like a gouge out of there. It's just like gently carved, right? And do that to both sides. So I'm going to quickly, just gently, with not a lot of pressure, get rid of the word. Okay. Next step is going to be to take my design, start on this side, I'm going to set it on top, see how it fits exactly, and I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to push, kind of like how we did with the foam when we did printmaking. I'm just going to gently push my design onto the soap. You got to kind of go slowly because your pencil wants to slip a little bit, but I don't know if you can tell, but it's starting to draw that line there. So I'm just going to gently push all of the parts of my design onto the soap. If I can't see my design clearly enough, I can just gently carve with my pencil so that I can more clearly see the lines that I'm going to be carving. Can you see that? Okay. So now I think I'm gonna just go all along the edge. It's gonna have a flat. Can you see it? Can you start to see my whale? All right. The first step for carving is we're rarely going to be using the knife, but the plastic knife, yes, it's sharp. Yes, you will cut yourself. Be careful. The knife is just to remove the big parts so that I can do a better job carving away more with the paper clip. So I know that I don't have this section here at all, so I'm just going to take my knife and gently, if you are too strong or if you're too aggressive, you will break it and then your entire soap is gone and that's all you get, friends. You have to figure out how to fix it up. So I'm just kind of using the knife to cut off any sections that are just going to get me closer to my line. You see that there? So I know I'm not going to need this corner, so I'm going to gently carve that away. Maybe carve this away. Gotta be careful, I don't want to get too close to any lines that I'm going to be carving. Maybe a little bit. You gotta use some pressure, some muscles. See how it's kind of cracked though, I gotta be careful. Oh. Okay, so this just saved me a little bit of time in carving away to getting closer to my design, so I have less detail work I have to do now with my paper clip. Okay, so now the paper clip's job is just going to be to get close to the lines And I'm just gonna start carving. It's like a meditative process, right? Super slow. Whittling is slow because you can cut yourself, but it's also like therapeutic. So it's something that you're spending time doing, because what might happen is you might say, oh no, I slipped and I messed it up. Well, were you taking your time to do a good job? So I'm just gonna start going around, and the whole goal is gonna be to carve on both sides. So even the top, and then the other side too is eventually gonna look like a whale. But what I have to do is just keep going around with my tool and remove little by little different sections and start sculpting the shape of my whale. I'm gonna go all the way through. So this whole section, and I'm gonna be working on the bottom. Eventually I can go back and deepen some of these lines if I need to. I can just do that with a pencil. See, I'm able to do that. But for now, I'm just gonna focus on the outline, and that's what I want you to do too. So I've gotta kind of get rid of this section. I think I removed some of my tail. But you can just use this tool. That's all you need to be able to carve slowly, little by little, removing different sections. So that's gonna go all the way through. You want it to go all the way through to the other side of the soap. So it's not like we're carving just on one side. We're turning this whole thing into our design. So with more carving, more carving, more carving, I'll show you my final one. Let's pretend like I skip forward. This is Mrs. Snyder's design. Do you see how it goes all the way through? So I've carved all the way through the top, every part of this side. And so when I turn it over, it's actually the same on both sides. See that? So it goes all the way through. Okay, so slowly working, little by little, layer by layer. Remember what I said, slowly, so that I can keep the details of my design and not break too much of my soap. This is your one chance. You get one bar of soap. Okay, so that's how I want you to work, fourth graders, slow and steady. I'm just gonna keep going through my design, taking it from this. In art, we call this subtractive carving. We had something and then we subtracted, we took away something to create our image. Okay, so this is where we started. This is where we're going, slow and steady.